Why are you single? I'm very curious. Why are you single? I'm gonna wait while you respond to that question. And today I am drinking a green tea. And on this channel, we love a hot drink. And today I'm gonna be discussing the topic of relationships, specifically romantic relationships and life in Manchester. If you're new to this channel, hello, welcome to my channel. My name is Sibu and this channel is called Still Sibu. And this is the wellness edition of Life in Manchester. And I'm really glad that you came across this video. So you came across a very interesting topic, and hopefully by the end of this conversation, we'll have more clarity, or at least be able to engage a bit more on the struggles that impact our wellness as people who don't or weren't born in Manchester and weren't born in the UK and happen to live here and are trying to establish our lives and build in this phase of our lives within Manchester. So I did ask the question, and I was very serious. What is your reason for being single? Because that is actually the starting point of this conversation. So I have the privilege of having a couple of friends, and we often chat about the topics of relationships and how relationships are impacted by our move to the UK. And a lot of the trending topics around why singleness is such a big thing is just the different dynamics of life in the UK. And I'm gonna speak about those in a bit, but interested to hear your view. Tell me why you're single while we delve into this topic. Let me know in the comment section, and I'll be keen to have the conversation. So a bit of background about me if you're new to this channel. I am an accountant and a health coach, and I speak a lot about topics on wellness and the things that impact our wellness holistically. And this is episode 3 of the wellness edition. And hopefully once you've watched this video, you can catch up on the previous 2 episodes. In episode 1, we tackled the topic of finances and how our budgets can impact how well we actually feel when our budgets are stretched. And then on topic 2, it was very difficult. And we spoke about grief, which is a topic that is actually very heavy and is gonna impact a lot of us, especially if we decide to stick around in the UK or build our lives far away from our families. So very keen for you to go back and watch those videos. But right now we are here and we're talking about relationships. So the reason I think so many people are single, or let me say so many people who weren't born in the UK, struggle to find significant others, or struggle to find or be in a long-term relationships, is a number of different things. Firstly, I think that attraction is a really big deal. When you are back in your home country, I don't think that you necessarily had at the back of your mind as much as you do now, potentially whether people around you, that you're attracted to, are attracted to you back. A lot of it comes down to attraction and the fact that maybe you live in an area where a lot of the people aren't conventionally drawn to you and attracted to you because you're just outside of their spec. And this might be in my head, but I honestly think that that's probably the first thing. And there's a lot of things that can determine attraction. Obviously, it's physical features, it's the way that you are, etc., etc. But the first point of encounter when you meet someone is often how they look. And when you are around people who aren't conventionally attracted to you, it decreases your population to be able to meet your significant other. So I think that's the first thing. Secondly, the dynamics of relationships, dating, pursuing are different. I'll tell you about South Africa. In South Africa, you land at the airport. People are friendly, they are very conversational. People will ask you out right there at the airport before you even unpack your bags or get your bags. Someone will be shooting their shots potentially, and it's obviously, so not all of it is to be taken seriously. It's just it's just a thing that some men tend to do. But you are more likely to meet someone because the rules of engagement are a lot more relaxed. If a man likes something, they go after it. Like, it's just that simple. And there's obviously like some nuance around that and what's appropriate and what's not. But sure and guaranteed, if someone is interested in you, at least in my home country and in my experience, you'll know about it eventually. Like, they'll have the courage to tell you. They will tell you, not through the grapevine. You will know. Like, it's the way that things work. People ask you out while you're doing your shopping, when you are maybe having, like a coffee date on your own, when you're going for a jog, anywhere. Like, people are more relaxed. Now we shift over to the UK, and the rules of engagement are very different. The environment and the sense of community is a lot stricter and more stiff. Like, if we're meeting for something, we're meeting for something. If someone likes you, you'll never find out about it. If you cross eyes with someone on a tram and you make eye contact with them, they could like you forevermore and head to their house, and you will go off to your house and nothing happens. And it's just because the rules of engagement are quite different. What is deemed socially acceptable, at least in South Africa, is definitely not the same within the UK. So I think there's boundaries in attraction as well as in the ways of engagement. The second reason I think people struggle to find significant others is because, having grown up in a community or a place where you knew the people around you, you kind of knew that you had the same type of background, the cultural dynamics, maybe the language was even similar, the way that the nuances of your backgrounds and your cultures were quite similar. So you understood the cultural dynamics. When you get to the UK, you might find that your experience, or at least your mindset around relationship and dating, restricts you to just the people that you think you're compatible with. So you might look at someone with a completely different background and maybe comes from a totally different country, or maybe comes from the UK specifically, and they've just got a completely different background from you. And you might, in your head, just think this is never going to work out. It's not a good idea, because you're restricting yourself in the way that you perceive relationships, and especially longer term relationships. When you think about marriage and finding a companion and settling down with someone, it's something that is restricting. So you might find yourself just being like, oh, I don't date this type of person because I've never dated this type of person, and I don't think that I'd want to kind of be involved in that dynamic. But quite honestly, I think that's a mental barrier. I think that a lot of things, yes, are true around cultural differences and backgrounds and diversity, but there's certain things that when you have commonalities with someone, especially when it comes to your value system, that can be alleviated. Like, you might think that dating someone from a different race or from a different background or from a different country might be a bad idea, but because you have the same value system, it actually might work out. You might be stressed about absolutely nothing. And yes, there'll be those challenges and those nuances that you'll have to navigate together. But if you're starting off with the same basis, I rate that it actually is something that you can get around. So that's probably another reason that people are single. Thirdly, I don't know, fourthly, I think that we work a lot. And at least in my personal experience, I know that it's something that I have not prioritized. Dating to me has taken the back of the train. It almost seems like it's time consuming, and it's not a priority, just because over the past couple of years I've been focused on things that have been making me well and contributing to the future that I'm trying to build for myself. And a lot of the time, especially as women, and now I'm speaking from a female perspective, we don't have the luxury of time if you're someone who wants to have kids in the future. Now, there are some channels around that you can use, like freezing your eggs and, like making provision if you don't have kids in time, or if you want kids in a certain time frame and you can't have them. But I think that as females, we have that additional perspective, or like additional layer of pressure of like, oh my goodness, should I be worried about like my, what's it called, the biological clock? Should I be worried about the biological clock? And each to their own. Like, someone might be like, just have a baby, like it's not that hard. Have a baby and you'll raise the child however you end up raising the child. But having a child, or bringing a child into the world, is such a serious decision that I think it would be naive to make a decision like that, especially, and I bring it to myself based on my value system and kind of understanding what exactly it means to have a child, and the framing of a family according to the Bible, which is how I reference my value system. So I think that's the other thing, is like people just don't make time for it. Like, it's not a priority. You are struggling with your own things. You are prioritizing your career, prioritizing work, which seems to take up a lot of time, and just caught up in almost an illusion that time will stand still and you'll have time for a long time. But it obviously is not the case. Those are my top 4 that I think are the reasons why people are not in relationships. Please add yours below. I'm very curious, especially from a male perspective, because I don't have the kind of like the reasoning of a man. And let me know what your reason is for being single, because I'm quite curious. And the thing with relationships is that even if we don't realize it, the relationships that we develop and that we pour into impact our wellness, because obviously if you are in a serious relationship, you're trying to build with someone. And if you're not in that relationship, it almost keeps you in limbo of like, what am I doing with my life? Should I be in a serious relationship? And quite honestly, there's an option to opt out. You don't have to be in a relationship. It's not compulsory. Like, you can make the choice to just say, you know what, I don't like the marriage thing. I don't want to be in a relationship. I don't want to eventually be married. And that's a decision that you would have made. But for the people who have a desire in their heart to want to get married and to want to have a family, it is something that can weigh you very heavily in the back of your mind, to be like, when is it going to happen? And what can I do to make it happen? So I'm going to jump into potential solutions, because I think that even though we have had the conversation around why we are single, what can we do to ensure that we're not in singleness by force? Like, the people who are single can just be single because they want to be single, and the people who want to be in serious relationships and potentially get married can actually eventually get married. So what are the things that we can do? I want to emphasize the fact that I am a Christian woman, and my worldview is framed by the Bible and by what I believe based on the Bible. So everything that I say in this segment is largely influenced by that perspective. One, I think it's really important to realize, or at least have an idea in your head of why you want to get in a relationship. I mean, a lot of different reasons. It could be for a lot of different reasons. Some people are just comfortable with having a surface level relationship, and they're not really into the long-term thing. That could be your own reasoning. In my perspective, my understanding of why I would get into a relationship is for the purpose of marriage, ultimately, because that is what the Bible or God intended marriage for, or relationship for, in order for two to become one, and for us to fill and multiply the earth, and so on and so forth. So that's biblical references. And understanding that once you get into a relationship, if your ultimate goal is marriage, is your value system the same? And is the person that you're trying to get into a relationship with on the same page on the direction that you're trying to head at, right? And I think that that's a very important thing to be upfront about and define very early. Otherwise, it might lead to potential hurt, which is something that can happen. So possible solutions. I think building community is so important because it allows you the opportunity to see people outside of work and seriousness and kind of like serious environments, and also opens your network to meet other people, because realistically the barriers of entry when it comes to serious relationships in the UK is the fact that you maybe don't meet a lot of people because either you're always at work or you just don't have much of a network, at least a serious network. Like, it's not like someone you'd bump into in a shop, you know, like that doesn't happen quite a lot. So importance of building community, as I always say in my videos, like just having people that you surround yourself with, people that you can rely on, opening up yourself to say yes when people invite you to things, because you'll never know when you might meet someone who you kind of would be on the same life path as. So definitely opening yourself up to community is a starting point. Secondly, I think it's prioritizing it. And this is something that, like I said, I have not done very well. But like everything else that you want to move in your life, you need to put it at the top of your list and have it as a priority. So when someone asks you out, don't just brush it off, like actually give it a chance. When you are around people, not to say like advertise your singleness, like that's not what we're trying to do, but make it known that you're open to relationship, because I think a lot of people maybe see it as like a point of shame or like, ooh, don't give the desperate vibe. But how else are people going to know that you are actually looking to be in a relationship? And I think it's just really important to have it known, at least with your friends, because I have also known of people who have gotten into relationships just through mutual friends and people who have kind of referenced them and been like, oh, I think you guys would actually make a good match. And so yeah, just having kind of a open mind and prioritizing it and setting aside some time to just be like, you know what, I'm gonna date. I'm gonna put myself out there and give the love thing a chance, because it is easier to close yourself out and just carry on with life and keep it moving. But obviously that is not sustainable. The last two things I would say is, let's not write off internet dating. And I say this with a very heavy heart because I've never been one to entertain internet dating. I think it is maybe it's a way that I've protected myself in the past by just being closed off to it. But I think it's really important to understand the dynamics of where you're at. Like I said, no one is likely to ask you out in a coffee shop or in a shopping center. So the way that people meet on this side of the world is through internet dating, through maybe mutual friends. So the more you open yourself up to the possibility of meeting other people, the better your chances are at meeting your significant other. And yeah, I think internet dating is just a tool. And especially when you come in to internet dating with a clear value system and a clear definition of what type of relationship you're looking for, it's much easier to sift out the things that you don't want, because then you are not engaging in things that could waste your time and potentially just like leave you with a broken heart, right? So that would be the other thing I'd say, is like, let's not close off online dating. The last thing I'll say is make the most of your singleness. Oh my goodness. Singleness is such a blessing. The ability to wake up in the morning and decide for yourself who you want to be, what you want to be, what you want to do. Having ample time in your hands to pursue the things that are in your heart to do, that are the ideas that you have in your head. Just being able to allocate all of your time to the things and your passions, and just being self-consumed that is a once in a lifetime opportunity, and girl or guy, I say go get it. Like make the most out of your singleness, because it's honestly such a blessing. It's the few years that you have in your life that are just for you, and you actually have money to spend, because when you're a child you have that, but you don't have the money. So make the most of your singleness, live your life, and I will say let's meet again in a year and let's see how things go, guys. Okay. But yeah, definitely this is an area that I think will impact your wellness if you are not aware of it, because time does go past, and we're not going to be in our 30s forever. We're not going to be in our 40s forever. One day life is going to slow completely down, and the thing that will make the most impact in your life are the people around you, your significant other, your kids, your family, the people that you love. So try and prioritize that area of your life. I want you to be well. Let's get well together. And let me wrap this episode up by saying thank you so much for sticking around. Do share this episode, and the next episode is going to be more around the topic of career wellness and ensuring that we stay well with our work-life balance, maintain our wellness outside of office hours, and be able to balance the stresses that come with an office job and any other job that is demanding in the UK, especially in these gray winter skies. So yeah, thank you so much for joining me, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye.